All right. Thank you for joining us with another Be the Exception episode. We have Bree Siegert on with us today. Bree, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys don't know Bree, make sure you go check out her Unchained episode with us first. Very good. Did I tell you that when Raphael sent that over, he was like, check this out real quick and let me know what you think. And I was doing like notifications or something.
Because this was like during Fittest, right? Like it was
shortly after Fittest of the
Yeah,
Coast.
okay.
So I was like catching back up on work.
Programming.
Yeah. And so he sent it over, and I was like, I'll watch 20 minutes of it tonight, and then I'll finish the rest of it off in the morning. And he sends it over, and I watched the whole thing straight through. I was like, this is so good.
I didn't know that. I actually was so, like, my expectations of that were like not what it was. I thought it was just going to be, he asked if I wanted to do an interview, and I just thought it was going to be like quickly after a workout, like a couple questions.
Okay.
And then he's like, yeah, no, come over to the house. And it was this whole setup and like production. And I was there for like an hour and a half in the seat. But it was great. There was great questions. Like it took me off guard with how great the questions were.
He killed those. Yeah, they were awesome. Yeah. So, and the room that it was in, like,
I felt like a pimp.
It was such a sick room.
I was in a leather chair. I was like, where's my whiskey glass and cigar? I need that to be comfortable right now.
It's like all wood like old school wood paneling.
Yeah, your
like,
guys' Airbnb crushed.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
It was a sweet. And Amanda did a great job picking that one up.
Oh, did she pick that? Yeah. Props, Amanda.
Props to Amanda, But yeah, we wanted to have you on again to kind of chat about the last year of training, competing, life in general, because you've gone through, and maybe kind of back it up a little bit to like why you decided to start with us in the first place, and then kind of get into some of the year of training, life, and competing in general, if that makes sense. So,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, maybe start off kind of chatting a little bit about where you were at headspace wise, and just kind of where you were maybe over the last like brief overview of the last 2 years before you started with me back in, it was April, right?
It was literally like during semifinals last year.
Yeah.
So whenever that was, I want to say it was about April.
Yeah. So yeah, you want to start us off there? Or?
Yeah. I know it's like when I think about when I started, I have to think about why, and that goes back like the backstory of kind of like what happened. But long story short, like 2021, I had like a pretty like serious injury in my neck. Just kind of, I was like a very under-recovered athlete, very overtrained. So my training age, I'm 33 now, but my training age I feel like is pretty high, like just with the amount of volume I did for so many years. I think for like the better part of like 7 or 8 years, I like got to work at 4:45 a.m., coached like the early morning classes, had my first session, which would be like a 30 to 60 minute aerobic capacity, and then like jumped in on the noon class and then trained again. And I mean, it was just literally every day, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, basically,
hours.
And that adds up over time. And I think like you and I have discussed, like I'm learning that a little bit now, like how long this last year kind of was more of a healing year for me. But yeah, 2021, I got back from Wadapalooza. I'd been very, very sick for over a month, and then basically competed like super, super sick. And, Wadapalooza was like 2 weeks before the Open at that time, I think. Like it was very, very close to the Open. It was like 2 to 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
And so I was getting like a little antsy to get back and, like try to get back to like semifinal shape and stuff from that sickness. And I sustained like a pretty terrible like cervical spine disc herniation. Found out like I had a bone spur there, so kind of something I can't really control. But it was just an ongoing year of like constantly trying to keep it at bay and like not have it herniate again. Because it was pretty debilitating. Like the first time it happened, I literally thought I was paralyzed. Like I laid on the ground and couldn't get up. And I was like, I'm done forever. This is it. I'm gonna die.
It's so like crazy when you have those injuries where like in the moment you're like, wow, I'm never going to do this again.
Yeah. I mean, and it happened several times, and it's like you can't, as a coach, I'm thankful it happened because you can't really empathize with your athletes, like when you don't experience that. Like, back pain and when your back tightens up, but it's so different having a full, like a disc hernia like that.
And like, or like an injury where you literally can't do anything.
Yeah. Like when they come in and you're like, oh, okay, well, like, why don't you just lighten the weight? And it's like, no, I can't bend over.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even stand up fully erect right now.
Right.
You know? And so, like, being able to empathize with people a little bit more, that was, like, helpful. But, from from then up until I started working with you last year, I mean, so that's 3 years basically. I was like, I could barely, like, I couldn't finish a full, like, weightlifting cycle. Like, I hadn't been able to snatch or clean and jerk anywhere near my previous maxes. And I just felt really lost as an athlete. Like, for a while, like, it was fun, like, jumping in on class and, like, scaling and just kind of, like, being able to pull it back and stuff. But I still wanted to be able to move the needle and know I wasn't going to hurt myself. And I think I knew, like, I needed to hire somebody. And I truly can't even remember, like, how you came up. But my friend Toya had posted some crazy workout that Griffin had done.
Okay.
Like, I'd never even heard of him. I was like, this workout's insane. It's like a 60-minute EMOM of some sort.
Okay.
I was like, that's crazy. Who is this guy? And then somehow I ended up on your page.
Okay.
And I, like, saw a little bit about, like, what you offered, what you did. And I was like, this seems like what I need right now. I need somebody to, just kind of be my eyes right now. And, like, if I'm in charge of myself, I will, like, just go push through it, when I shouldn't.
Right.
And it was good for me at the time to not do the same stuff as everyone in my training crew, because that was really hard mentally, of just, like, seeing everyone, like, surpass me so much, and constantly having to scale these competitive workouts when I'm trying to be a competitive athlete. And
then you're in an environment where, like, that's so frowned upon, and just, like, you get more demoralized because you feel like you're getting treated differently because you scaled this down because you have an injury, and then you're like, you blame it all on yourself.
Yes.
You're like, why were you dumb and got injured? You should have just taken the time,
Yeah,
and huge negative feedback.
I did compete with them at semifinals in 2023, and I remembered every single event. I was, like, so scared.
Yeah.
I had gotten off. I mean, I was, like, such an injured athlete. Like, not only was it the neck thing, I tore both my lats that year, like, straight up torn. Like, you could hear it tear, like, badly.
Right.
And so I basically, like, was injured or rehabbing an injured athlete going into semifinals. And, like, every event, it was, like, in my Achilles. Like, I tore my calf, like, close to my Achilles. And so I had so many, like, every extremity had something going on. And I just remembered feeling like I didn't even know who I was. I was like, I don't know who I am out here. I don't feel like myself. And so, then in 2024, I reached out to you, and I think I'd said, like, I'm competing team at semifinals this year, so I don't really want to change my programming yet. But afterwards, I would like to, like, start with you. And we got on a call. We had, like, a pretty great conversation for about the better part of half an hour. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely what I'm going to do. Then I ended up not competing that year, so I just started with you a little bit earlier. And that's how I got started, I guess.
Yeah, I remember, because I was actually still in school at the time. So I remember our phone call was I lived with my parents because it was just a year. So I just moved back in with them for a year. And I was in my parents' kitchen, and we got off the call, and I was like, damn, that actually was a really good phone call.
Yeah.
And then I think we just kind of had some conversations leading up to semifinals, and, like, kind of talked through some of the semifinal workouts and stuff like that. And then I think we started like pretty much right after semis.
Yeah, like, basically through semifinal, which is, like, the craziest time to, like, hire someone and start working with someone, because you have no idea who I am. Like, you can ask someone, like, their strengths and weaknesses, but you don't really know until you see what they can do after like so many months, And so it was great. It was good having someone, like, help me, like, adjust workouts as needed, and just also going into workouts that I knew were, like, kind of dangerous for me at the time with where I was at, because I think I was just coming off another neck herniation too. Like, it happened again, like, a couple weeks prior to. So, like, the clean and jerk workout, I remember being really, like, terrified of. So just kind of having someone be like, hey, like, this isn't your fight right now. Like, just, we're trying to do our best, and your best is not getting injured at the moment. So and then we basically got started after that.
Because I think that was a lot of our first conversation, was like, hey, you need to focus on longevity right now and playing the long game if you want to continue to compete in this sport. And so that was kind of it seemed, if I'm remembering correctly, that was kind of the focus going into semifinals, was just like, hey, make sure you come away from this healthy so that we can rebuild you from this point.
And test and start to train, basically.
Right. So what were the first couple months like then? Was that like a culture shock to you almost? Or?
Yes, I actually was very nervous, because I had, like, for like the better part of, like, 8 to 9 years, like, I trained with people every day. And so this was, like, my first time kind of taking a step back and, like, training alone. So like my thought, like looking way too far ahead, but I was like, man, in a year, like what happens if I'm not training with people that are pushing me, you know? Like, do I have the ability to like self-regulate and be able to push myself where I need to go alone and things like that? But I think it was very good for me. I just needed that at the time, you know, especially being so injured. It's like you can't compare yourself to people because an injured athlete is never going to be a great athlete. Like a healthy athlete's always going to be better than an injured athlete, you know, and it's hard to compare yourself to people in that sense. And it also helped me kind of like remove that comparison trap also, I think.
Right.
But yeah, I remember doing like a lot of tests, a lot of like long conditioning pieces.
Yeah.
After the burpee box jump over workout, I don't think I've ever done so many burpee box jump overs in my life.
Yeah, we did a lot.
So many.
Although, in hindsight, I think that was probably one of the most cheated workouts in CrossFit history. So
You think so?
yeah, I think so.
In what way?
I think that people just didn't count their reps.
Yeah.
Like they went into the gym. Like I think there was a ton of people that didn't have judges. They were just like, I'll just go into the gym and do this workout with my buddies. They cut off somewhere between like 6 and 8 reps, not necessarily on purpose, but they're like counting for themselves.
It is hard to count that many burpee box.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say like that would be hard.
But I mean that's like, you know, that's 12 to 18 reps, maybe, or 18 to 24 reps that you cut off in the workout. 133 burpee box jump overs. If you're up to 24, that's almost 2 minutes that you cut off of that workout, you know? So I think it was just possibly unintentional, but like I think there was a lot of people that cheated that workout. So
yeah, I mean it easily because they didn't. I mean I don't think they asked for videos either that I can recall.
No,
just I guess they did on the interval one. Yeah, the dumbbell step up one.
Yes, that was the one. Yeah,
that they were being crazy on the
step
up extension or whatever.
Straight ahead.
Yeah.
So, but you got better at burpees. So
yeah, I did.
So, the main thing was the culture shock of like just training alone. That was kind of like the thing that was challenging for you.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like I actually enjoy training alone sometimes. You know, I coach all day, and I think sometimes it's like, which I love to do, but I'm like pouring into people all day. It's kind of nice to just like serve myself for an hour, you know, a little bit. And I think most coaches can probably agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
I truly enjoy training alone, and then like once in a while, I do like training with people.
Yeah.
And it just allows me to like focus a little bit more on myself because even like in a class setting, I start like paying attention to everybody else and like my coach hat isn't totally off.
It's so hard to take
It's
off.
so hard, you know, and I just can't help it. Like you just can't help but like want to help people.
Right.
So yeah, like I honestly enjoyed training alone. I just didn't know if that was going to be like the answer to moving that needle. You know, I do believe iron sharpens iron, and that was like a little bit scary for me, like just starting the new year off that way. But honestly, like it hasn't really made a difference, I don't think. And you know, like I'm in a group chat with like a bunch of blacklisted people, and we're always like, I mean, I talk to those guys every single day, you know. So sometimes we don't do like the same workouts all the time, but like sometimes we'll kind of like bump ideas or like strategies off each other, and I think that helps too.
Yeah, for sure, sure. Yeah. So you came down. So I moved back down here in June, actually. And
that must have been like right before I came down here for the athlete camp, then, right?
Well, you came down in
July.
At the end of June.
Yes.
Just to come down, and it ended up being that randomly we had we just randomly had you come into town with 2 other people, Christian and Chauncey.
Yep.
And then we had like a bunch of other people that just randomly came into town.
It was huge. There were so many people here. I thought it felt like a camp, but I don't think that was.
No, it wasn't.
Camp.
It was just naturally that just happened for that day. I think we had like 24 people or something like that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. So you came to that. And it seemed like you were kind of hooked after that.
Yeah, I definitely that definitely told me that I was like in the right place.
Yeah.
And I think like I was with my friends and like they told me afterwards. So I decided to take a last minute trip to Florida. I was going to go back home after that weekend, but I'd taken I don't know why I took extra days off work. I just think I had the vacation time and I was like, fuck it. Let's use it. Yeah. And so I was about to go home and Christian's like, why don't you just like go to Florida or something? And I was like, you know, I should.
Yeah.
You know me, again, always last minute on things.
Yeah.
And so I rented a car here, like took a trip to Florida and just had like the best time. Like here was great. Like I met so many people, and literally ever since then, like I have talked to these guys like every day.
Yeah.
More than like people like back home in my own gym, you know? And so we all just like got along so well, and all live very similar lifestyles in some capacity. And then, you know, I went to Florida, and I feel like that was kind of just an eye-opening experience for me, that like I wanted to move, you know, I wanted to like explore new opportunities and like find ways to help people. And then my friend Christian told me, he's like, yeah, we were driving back, and Chancey just said, I hadn't seen Bree like that happy in so long.
Yeah.
And you know, I've like briefly discussed like my past like with depression and stuff, and like definitely struggled with that for a really long time. So I think it was like noticeable to them how much happier I was, and I felt it. Like I felt so much more, just like like a weight was lifted off me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like that was definitely like a very like good stamp that I had like made the right decision.
Yeah, for sure. Because shortly after that, like you decided to move down to Florida.
Yes, and so like I always say, I'm like a big believer in signs. Like I think if like something, like when you're resisting something, or if something's just not happening, like it's the universe like telling you like it's, hey, like let's try a different route, you know?
Right.
And basically like ever since that camp, like I put a feeler out. I don't remember. Oh, I started looking for jobs in Florida because I was like, I've always wanted to live in Florida, you know, like it's like somewhere in the South, you know?
Right.
And I couldn't really find a job that like would be worth leaving my current one at the time, which I loved my job there. Like leaving that community was so hard, you know? And I still talk to them often, but I just felt like it was the right thing. And then I was like, I couldn't find a job, and I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. I have it good. Like I should just be
Stay
happy where I'm at, you know?
Yeah.
And like the next day on Instagram, the first thing that popped up was from like Barbell Jobs, I think is the page.
Okay.
And it's basically like CrossFit owners like looking for coaches, I think, or like gym owners looking for coaches.
Okay, yeah.
And the one for my job now at Peak Human Performance popped up, and I was like, oh, this is really similar to like my current salary. Like I do all of these things already, you know, like I'd be like a perfect fit for this job. So I sent in my application and resume and everything, and like the next day the owner got back to me. Like, wow. We also had a great conversation, like our vision on like how a gym should be like ran, and things like that, like really aligned. And I was like, oh, I need to go there. And like she was training for games, and so she was kind of busy, and I was like, hey, I've like worked for a games athlete, I know it takes a lot of focus, like we can circle back, like as long as you're not in a rush to have somebody, you know. And then I was like, if it's like all the same to you, like I'm competing at Beach Brawl, I can always drive to Tallahassee from there. So like the timeline also worked out really well because I was already signed up for Beach Brawl, interviewed, like got the job, and I think within like 2 months I was in Florida, like moved across the country, like in Florida, managing at a new gym, and just everything just worked out really well. Like it almost went too smoothly that I was like, this is exactly what was supposed to happen, you know?
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Sometimes
crazy.
The universe just puts you in the right place. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like the right time, like everything just kind of works out very, very well. But yeah, maybe you can talk a little bit about Beach Brawl, like post camp. I think you were just back in Nebraska, just kind of like training, right? I can't remember. Did you come to the August camp? I can't remember. I don't think you did.
I did come to did you have 2 camps?
So you came to the June one, and then I think you came to the August one.
I did come to a camp.
Okay. So it must have been the August one.
It had to have been.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So I think you came to the August one. And then again, we kind of crossed paths again, I guess, or like in person at Beach Brawl. And then Beach Brawl, like, I think that's where, because like, what's the text group that you guys are in?
The Beach Brawl group chat, I think.
It's literally called the Beach Brawl.
I think it's called the Beach Brawlers or something like that.
Yeah. So like, I think that's kind of where you like really were just like, okay, this is home, right?
Yeah.
Can you kind of like talk about, you had the first experience here, like super happy, like what the camp was like, and then how it was just kind of like evolved into like that experience there, which Beach Brawl was so much fun.
Beach Brawl was so much fun. Like that was probably the most fun I've ever had at a competition. Yeah. It was just a blast. Like first of all, the venue's awesome. Like it's right off the beach. Right. You can't be mad at that. I think it's like really cool how you like do individual one day and team the next, and it's 4 events each day. Like it doesn't feel like too much, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like we all started in this group chat just because like we were all staying in the same house.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like a reality show on like MTV. Like you just put a bunch of strangers in a house.
That was kind of it. Because I think you'd met a few of them at camp,
I met
right?
most of them. I think
at camp. Okay.
I can't think of who I hadn't met at the time, but Sydney kind of put it all together, I think, because I think she'd got in the house and like put us all in a message together.
Yeah, it was either Sydney or Emma. I can't.
Maybe it was Emma.
Emma. Okay.
I think Sydney added me to the group, but yeah, we just. I don't know if like when we got there, it never felt like any of us didn't know each other.
Yeah.
You know, we just had like the best time.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Archer and I got acai bowls and iced coffee from across the street like every single day. I was obsessed with it. Awesome. And yeah, we were just all like, we just had the best time. I mean, I think they realized I was like a very last minute, like type B planning person because they had to keep taking care of me, like giving me food and sunscreen. I think at one point I was like, does anybody have any wrist wraps? And they were like, do you have a belt? Like, what did you come here with?
You're like,
did you bring shoes?
Yeah. You're like, my hobo bag.
But yeah, I went into that one too. Like I remembered the lifting event will like always stick out to me because I remember doing that in training 2 weeks prior. Because originally it was supposed to be from the rack, I think, like because it starts with 3 front squats, 2 hang cleans, and a jerk.
Yeah.
And I did it at like 165 and like messed up my neck again. And I remember being pissed. And I think I like texted you and I was like, I hurt my neck. I'm just not doing this. I'm going to do it at like 125 and just call it. Like, I don't care. Like, I was so pissed about this.
Yeah.
And when we were there, you were like, you've got 10 minutes. Like, just start with, 125 on the bar. If it feels good, add 10 pounds at a time. And because at that point, kind of like backtracking a little bit, but for an entire year, like straight, I'd had so much pressure in my upper back. Like I could not relieve it. We did everything. Like my physical therapist, like and I know you guys had talked too, and like, tissue release. I'd been to doctors. I was debating surgery. Like we could not figure out what was going on, but it was literally like I couldn't breathe fully for like a year, you know? And so like getting to beach brawl, it was no different. Like I still had that feeling. Emma like gave me some pretty cool like PRI exercises that kind of helped like pretty short term, but like they did enough I think to allow me to like inhale fully.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember like doing that event and like getting to 185 and I was like, oh, like I went like pretty higher, a lot higher than I thought. And I hadn't looked at the leaderboard at all because I was like, I know this lift is going to put me in last place, so I don't care.
Yeah.
And then I think like afterwards, like you or somebody else was like, did you see what place you're in? And I was like, no. And they're like, you're still in first.
Yeah. Because you were leading up to that, and you were like, I think pretty nervous about that. But I think I could be remembering this wrong, but I think you sent me the video of you injuring your neck because it was the jerk that injured it.
Yes.
And I think we saw that there was like some unevenness or like some extra rotation or not enough rotation or shoulder flexion or something like that. And I told you just to like push jerk from then on, and I was like, "Look, we might not ever be able to split jerk again." Like,
split jerk is done for me.
Yeah. But we I think it was like maybe the next week. I was like, "Just try a push jerk, see how it feels." And you were like, "It feels fine." I was like, "Okay, we'll just build." And then that was the same thing at the competition. She's like, "Hey, like you kind of know what it feels like. Just kind of just build as heavy as you can. Don't take any risks. Like." If you feel good, go for it. If you don't feel good, just back off. There's still 2 other workouts in the day. Like, just walk away from this healthy and try and just walk away from this weekend healthy. And you ended up hitting 185, which was awesome.
And at the time too, I was like, I could definitely go heavier, but it was like just enough that I had to like strain hard enough that it didn't feel super comfortable. And I hadn't had that load overhead in the better part of a year or more.
Right.
So I think also like a lot of, and this is a thing with like injury that a lot of people like don't think about is like when you have the same like chronic injury, you can't go off your old numbers. Like I think that's what had gotten me injured so much before too, is like at this point, like your body hasn't adapted to that anymore. So like the feeling of putting that load back on it is very foreign, and you have to like kind of start like rewind and start over again and build back up to that. And so I feel like this last year was just a lot of doing that and like getting my body to recognize that like this movement doesn't have to injure you. Like this weight can feel comfortable, and refining positions and, you know, like little things like today, like we were just focused on breathing with weight overhead.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I was just about to mention, like, you know, and it's an ever evolving process too. Cause like today I'm, you know, remote coaching is good, but you, like when you have an athlete in person, you see more things than not. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So like today I was seeing like, okay, you know, we fixed your lats on your snatch, and you're like, oh, the bar's popping up, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I was seeing like kind of how you were catching the bar, and so afterwards we're just like, hey, let's try and work this position and get that upper back like more active. And so I just asked you to go overhead with like, was it 85 pounds or something like that?
85.
And I could see that you were just like intense trying to hold that bar overhead, and I'm like, okay, let's try something else. Like, go get the barbell, and like you were able to get the barbell overhead and get in a good position. I'm like, okay, now just breathe. And so like there's always kind of like some sort of process that needs to happen in the healing side of things. It's like we've gotten you strong enough to be able to snatch now and like not risk being injured after snatching. So you hit, how many snatches did you hit at 155 in semis?
19.
Yeah, like 19 snatches at 155 in semis.
And I hadn't snatched 155 in probably like a year and a half or 2 years, possibly. Like that was huge for me.
Right. So, you know, there's that. And then also, so like you're able to snatch now. Like we got you strong enough to snatch, but now it's like, okay, let's make you feel safe in that position and really open it up to see what we can do, like genuinely do snatching now. And so it's an ever evolving process too. And it's like you kind of fix one thing, and then it's like, okay, let's take it back to the drawing board and let's fix this next thing, if that makes sense.
And like when like the same movement constantly is like something that injures you, you start to like adjust in ways to avoid injury, but like can actually make it worse in the long run, if that makes sense. Like you like, I know I've lost like a lot of my positional strength on snatch because it hurt me, so I would always get like scared, you know, and then it's like that became a habit, and now we're trying to like backtrack on those bad habits.
Yeah. So it's definitely been a process, but you know, I think you're doing a great job of it, and we're always finding kind of new things like out on the gym floor too. So that's been great. But yeah, like beach ball was like, that was probably one of my favorite competitions to have ever been. Like Fittest of the Coast 2023 or 2024, sorry, and then beach ball 2024 were just so much fun.
Yeah.
Like you took first place in RX division, which that was your first individual in-person competition. How many years?
Since 2019.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And then Amanda took first in elite division.
Yep,
yeah. And then we had like 3 teams that podiumed there. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun. Yeah. You were all over the place.
That's
Coach
life of a coach. Yeah.
Coach.
Yeah. So after beach ball, you basically moved, right?
Yes. After beach brawl, I drove to Tallahassee, interviewed, got the job, went back home, and I think I moved in, I think I gave like a month and a half notice. So it was like 6 weeks to get here, to get back.
Also throughout that whole time, you were kind of like stressed out of whether you were going to have a job or not too as well.
Because I wasn't sure, like at my current job, like in that time.
Right. Yeah. There's just a lot of life stress that was going on.
There was a ton. Like leave it to me to just be, once I'm like totally comfortable, I'll just throw a wrench somewhere. It's just
life's too good.
Literally, that's how my whole life goes. But yeah, I was that, like the living situation. It was like a lot of things that you have to do just to move down the street. Like I feel like takes people longer than what it took me to move across the country.
Yeah, right.
Because I originally wanted like 2 weeks to have to kind of like move and stuff, and my last job like required like longer than a month.
Yeah.
So I had like 2 days to move across the country basically, and then start my new job. So that was a little bit stressful. I had also like that was when I injured my back too. Like I had the lumbar spine thing happen, which I think is just something that we've learned. Like after I compete, I can't jump back into like competing.
That's right. Because Fittest of the Coast was right after that.
Yeah, which was crazy. Like,
yeah.
Like I said, everything happens for a reason. But like that was crazy because Leanna and I weren't even supposed to be partners.
Yeah, originally. Trying to find partners for everybody was nuts.
Yeah, that was insane. I did not.
It worked out. Shout out Shelby. Thanks for jumping in, Shelby.
Yeah, Shelby Neal, let's go. That was my first time meeting her at Fittest of the Coast too. But yeah, I did like the last like Fittest workout, and I was like ready to like roll there. Like I was in the top like 16 at that point, and then just
I think because that was the third workout.
Oh, it was. They had
I think
four,
it was
right?
the third, and they had 4.
Yeah, it was the deadlift toe to bar one,
Yeah.
and I just like out of nowhere, my back just gave.
Yeah. Well, you were in, I think, an elite qualifying spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the back just kind of gave out. Yeah. Yeah. So.
And I didn't really like fully heal from that until like in the middle of the open.
Right.
Yeah, like it was still like pretty pissed off at that point.
Right. But again, kind of going back to like everything evolves. Like whenever you were, so you injured on deadlift.
Yeah.
Whenever you were sending me deadlift videos, they were always from like the front angle.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about. I forgot.
Yeah,
about that.
and so like I never was able to fully see like your pulling position, which is like I guess on me to should have asked for a video
like
on
a three
that.
like a 3/4.
Yeah.
I mean,
but then in the qualifier we found out, like you sent me the video of like when it happened. I'm like, oh, shit, like you can see like your lumbar is a little bit rounded, like we need to work on this. And so it's just like we're refining positions now that should have been refined years ago. And you've had 10 years of doing shit weird, right?
Yes, yeah.
So it takes time, but it's always just an evolving process too, right? So that was a tangent, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, injured back, so we kind of worked through that.
Yeah, and then thought I wasn't going to be competing at Fittest of the Coast, which I was like, okay, I'll accept that. Like, I'm moving, whatever. And then, like, somehow it happened, like, logistics, and I was able to, like, partner with Leanna. So
yeah, we, like, switched people around. Her partner stopped.
She was getting married or something. Like,
yeah,
on the same
didn't
weekend.
realize that Fittest of the Coast was on her wedding weekend. Yeah. So she's like, I can't do this. You were Sydney's partner. We found a partner for Sydney.
Yep.
Leanna's partner had to stop because she was getting married, so we like just plugged you in and it all worked out.
Yeah, it was fine, and then we won. So
yeah, right, yeah. And then Open rolled around. You qualified for semifinals, and was this one of your best Open placings ever too? I can't remember.
No, but like
you did have a better one.
Yeah, but it was like the Open has changed so much. It's really hard to say because like I think there was a year where I was like
one and done,
top 200 or something.
Okay, yeah.
But like again, like the Open format was just so different, and like I think that might have been. Maybe they had 5 workouts at that time still. It might have been when they first switched to 3 workouts, but yeah, I just think it was just different. Like it wasn't, there was still like the heavy weights in the Open. You know what I'm saying? Like it was more diverse where like now the Open's kind of just like, let's put like the simple workouts out first. We'll get the strength and skill in semifinals.
Right. Which strength and skill showed up in semifinals.
Yep.
And you crushed it.
Which like, to be fair, like I like almost every one of the semifinal workouts were like not strengths of mine.
Right. Yeah.
Like I didn't get any of my besides burpees, I guess, and like light barbell cycling. Like other than that, double overhead lunges. I think I've never done that with the 50s, but even 35s usually crushes me.
Right.
What else? Like rope climbs and rowing in the same workout,
rope climbs, toes to bar, and rowing, which is all grip. Like,
snatch. Like I had not lifted that way. Because you had me work up to like a heavy one, like 2 weeks prior to that or a week and a half,
something like that.
And I hit 160 and it like messed up my neck and back.
Yeah, right.
Not like badly, but I was just like, I had to stop. Like my neck got tight, didn't feel good. It still didn't feel good going into that. But I was able to like do it and it actually felt better the next day, which is my neck's so weird. I don't know. It's
yeah.
So
but
weird.
I mean, like again, testament to kind of like what we've been able to do this last year is like, okay, even if it feels bad, like we've raised enough of the floor where it's like, okay, I can do something and it might actually act as a healing process.
Yes, that's
like
exactly it. Yeah. Like I think because I got sick and I had to take like 2 weeks off and that was like the worst my neck had felt in so long.
Yeah.
And then I went in and I was like, oh, I have strict handstand push-ups today. Maybe I shouldn't do these. And then I did them and they were fine. And the next day my neck felt better. So it's like this weird, like fine line between doing too much and not doing enough where it'll hurt either way.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy with how semifinals ended up. I was really happy with, the live competitions that you were able to do this year. Like, I think this is probably, I can't speak for you, but I think this is probably one of your better competitive years over the last year than you've had in a very long time.
Oh, I completely agree. I think just like the consistency of it too, and like with how like the progressions and how I feel, I guess, as an athlete. And also like having the confidence that I don't need to go so heavy and like train so much to do well. Cause I actually was talking about this with Leanna last night, but like I used to train so much that like I would always be lifting under fatigue. Sometimes I couldn't get my lifting session in the morning. So I had like already done a Metcon and aerobic capacity, and then we'd lift in the afternoon. And like the whole sentiment then was like, well, in CrossFit, you have to like lift under fatigue, and it's like
so dumb.
You do that one workout usually. It's usually like one open workout, and like that's it.
Right.
And so
also, how are you supposed to drive your 1RMs up if you're just fatigued all the time?
Yeah,
like
is that one?
Oh,
I don't know.
I didn't plug it in.
Oh shoot, I don't know when it.
Oh, we might have to do just an audio only. Steph can cut this out. There we go.
Okay. But yeah, so I think like a lot of that too, like led to some injury of just lifting so much under fatigue. And like this past season, obviously like my back was injured. So we did a lot of like 10s in my training, like 5x10s on like squats and pressing and stuff. And my strength has like only improved. So
I mean, you're stupid, like really strong right now.
Yeah, I felt really strong in semifinals. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like for me, I felt really strong.
Yeah. The 10s are, I think we found the magic recipe with your strength work. And you just respond very well to higher volume strength work.
Yeah,
so.
it sucks.
It
sucks so bad.
Yeah. So what was, okay, like you've been around the block for a while now. Actually, I think I told you this, but the other day I decided to, we have a TV at the gym now that has YouTube on it. And I was like, let's just be one of those gyms that puts CrossFit on all the time. So I Googled or YouTubed CrossFit regionals. And I was like, I'm just going to click the first one that comes up and just start playing it. And no shit, the first one that came up was the 2016 Central Regional team workouts too.
With six people on the team.
Which is the a regional we both actually competed at in the time. So I was like,
crazy.
Yeah.
That was my first regionals ever.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was my first year at Kinesis, and we qualified a team, but like half of our team, like my boyfriend at the time was on it, and he'd been doing CrossFit for like maybe 3 months.
Yeah.
He was like super athletic and just like could pick things up really quickly, but he didn't like understand like pacing in CrossFit. So he was perfect for team.
Yeah, right.
And like we had Kyle, who was like a previous games athlete.
That was the thing. I was like, God, I'm gonna look like such a tool putting this on in the gym. Like I'm gonna start it from workout one, and I'm not gonna like play it forward. And I was like doing something, and I look up, I'm like, is that Kyle? I'm like, that is Kyle. Wait, is Bree in this? And I like just kind of like fast forward through it. I'm like, holy shit, there's Bree.
I look at like such a baby.
It's crazy.
Sydney told me that you put it on, and you're like, guess who that is? And she said it took her like 20 seconds.
To figure it out. Yeah. Wait, why did we go on this tangent?
Why did we start that? Oh, we were talking about, you were going to ask me something about like semifinals.
Because you competed at semifinals, you competed at sanctionals now, you competed at new semifinals. How did this one compare to all the other ones?
Honestly, like this was the least fun.
Yeah.
Honestly. And nothing... It just felt like lonely. And I know I'm not the only person. Like I know a lot of people that qualified for semifinals that didn't do it for one. Like they did the workouts just to see how they'd stack, but they didn't pay to do it because they were like, I'm just in my gym alone. Like one of my friends, for example, like works out of her garage, and she's like, I don't want to pay a drop-in to go to a gym. I don't want to pay to have like 4 judges, and then myself included, which is like $100 for the athlete, $40 for each judge's course. Like it just didn't feel super fun, I guess. Like I don't think there's nothing against the workouts. Like I thought the workouts were fine. But yeah, like even before, the way they had it, like when you did, what was it before, quarterfinals? That was at least more fun too, because I think a lot more people in the gym qualified for it.
Right.
So it's like you at least had like, whether they were like super competitive or not, like for one, being a coach, it's really fun to see people kind of work to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people that maybe have never qualified outside of the open for anything. And like, for them, that's always like really fun. And they're like, oh, I guess like I didn't realize like how I stack in my age group or whatever, you know? And then you have people to do it with, and there's already people competing. So they want to be able to help judge you so you can judge them. Where like, it was just me at my gym, and I had to schedule. I felt like I had to like schedule other people around my time, which felt very selfish, even though they were so cool about it. But
well, and like to your point about more people doing it, it was like you had the open, which everybody participated, and then it was 10%, then 25%, which is actually a large majority of people inside of a gym at 25% can qualify for quarterfinals.
Yes.
So you have that camaraderie still of like, okay, we went from the open, now we're all competing together in quarterfinals. So you still have kind of the layover from the open, so people are like excited to watch people at quarterfinals. And then if you were to make it, a step further at like semifinals, and even if it were in affiliate semifinals, still, it would be like, okay, all the people from quarterfinals are still invested in what you're doing because you qualified for that thing.
The community is like still there. Yeah.
Right. And so they would have kind of followed suit and probably come in for a couple of your workouts where this was like, you do the open and then you qualify for semifinals, which was super exclusive. Top 1% come in. And then there's a 2-month gap before you go and compete in semifinals.
Yeah.
So like nobody even remembers the open at that point in time. Right. And so there was no, and this is where so a lot of my qualms are with kind of the ownership of, and we just did a podcast with a merger and acquisition guy, and I tried not to talk a whole bunch of shit on PE there, but is like this ownership group right now just doesn't seem to understand that the sport and the brand is really driven by community and media and marketing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And they've done a lot to kind of just strip that away to try and bolster, I think, numbers because at the end of the day, their job is to sell the company for a profit, right? And the guy that we brought in was talking about how like they'll have a lot of analysts or like people that they rely on to kind of talk to them and like be their kind of lead inside the space that they're in. And I just don't know who they had doing that because it just seems like they struck out 3 times in a row. You know? So this whole year has just felt like such a disconnect from what it was in the past. And like you could even see that on their social media. Like they're like, we do the open together, but we're not going to create any new content to say that we do the open together. We're just going to pull all of our old content from 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17 and just repost it.
Yeah.
Which
it was so confusing to follow too. Like even as an athlete someone who cares, because it's like, okay, I do want to get to the next level. It was hard to follow. I didn't even know how to qualify. I was like, I don't even know how you qualify.
Well, I mean, it's still technically
people
going
who
on.
don't really care that much. I can only imagine their thoughts
on whatever.
There's like, so what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
You're like, you're doing another in-person workout. What for again?
Why are you doing this?
Right.
You're not going to games. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. Yeah, right.
But yeah, I don't know. It like the word disconnect really stands out because it just didn't. And I think if you've been doing CrossFit for a while, like you and I have, like at least a decade.
Yeah.
When it was like really fun and like remembered when it was so fun.
Do you remember the video? I think I referenced it on the last podcast too, but redefining beauty or defining beauty or something.
Oh yes.
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 I pulled that up the other night and was like, this shit was so much fun. So much fun.
I agree.
Yeah. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Was Annie Thorsdottir in that one? I'm picturing that for some reason.
So I think you might be thinking of another one where they went with like Andrea Ager. Do you remember her?
Yes.
And there was like 5 different females so this one is called Redefining Strength. I'll show it to you after this.
I'll have to see it.
But it's like it's like set to a musical background. And they talk about like redefining beauty and strength, which at the time CrossFit was at the forefront of. They're like, health and performance are markers of beauty, not what somebody looks like in the mirror. And a lot of it was
Yeah.
geared towards like women actually lifting weights and genuinely becoming healthy and looking better. Not what society defines as standards of beauty, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch that one.
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, no, that's fine. I forgot what I was talking about.
You were talking about how, like, for people who've been in CrossFit for a long time.
Like it was just so fun. And I just think, so I started CrossFit in 2013, and like every single year it's been different. They've changed something.
Every year.
And I remember like it was always really frustrating because I was always like on the outside.
You're like,
qualifying.
next year I can make it.
And then the next year, like I was
like
like in the top 40 the year they went to a top 20.
Yeah.
And then like what sanctionals kind of was the same thing. And then when they went to quarterfinals, I was one spot from qualifying. Like it was just like a super frustrating like process. And they just changed it every year. Like I think people started getting used to quarterfinals, and then when they did, they changed it this year where it feels like they're trying to do a little bit of everything CrossFit has ever done. You know, like in-person semifinals is essentially like rear regionals, and then online semifinals is essentially quarterfinals, and then the top 1% thing happened. Like that was previous, and then it seems like they're doing a sanctional feel with all the different in-persons a little. You know what I mean? It just feels like they are trying to do everything they've ever done.
Throw it all at the wall and see what, or mix it all into the recipe and see what comes out.
And I'm like, you guys want regionals back so bad, just bring it back.
Yes.
That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks because there's not a lot of transparency around what they're trying to do or the direction with anything. Right?
Yeah.
They don't talk a lot about it. And it's like, when it first started, it was just like, this is so fun and new that we're just going to keep doing things for the better of the company, and it's just going to be fun and exciting. And it was like, it every time they did something or changed something, you were kind of just like, that sucks. And then you go through the season and you're like, oh, that actually was for the better.
Yeah,
you know?
like it wasn't too bad.
Right, right. And then, I think 2018 was a pretty big defining moment when they were just like, no more social media. Like that was bad. And then like sanctionals happened and you're like, God, this is going to be terrible for the sport. Honestly, that actually ended up being pretty good for the sport because it allowed more people to come in and compete. I just don't think it's a sustainable business model.
And it was like all year. Like I did so many online qualifiers that year.
and this is the issue. So like, people don't learn from history very well, but like this is the issue that I think a lot of athletes are going to run into this year is like, you can't go from the open, which you're trying to qualify. A lot of athletes aren't going to take it super seriously because they can get in, but it's still, you kind of got to try a little bit harder than you have in years past to make it in. Then you're going to go do Mayhem. And then you're going to go do in-affiliate semifinals the next weekend. Then you're going to go do World Fitness Project.
Yeah.
Then you're going to go do TFX, or 2 weeks later NorCal, or 2 weeks later Syndicate. It's like you're going to throw 5 or 6 competitions into a 6-week period or like a 3-month period. Then you're going to train super, super hard to go to the games, possibly, right? And I think that people at the end of this year are going to be so wrecked.
Yes.
Wrecked that they're going to have either an off year the next year or have some sort of major injury that's going to keep them out from the season.
Well, that kind of reminds me of, was it 2019 when they had the Open in the fall and in the spring, like winter, spring?
Yeah, 2 years in.
But like the second Open happened like a month after games, where like most games athletes are taking
time
that
off.
as off season. Like they'll just, Matt Frazier had said it, like he just didn't train at all like, through that month usually, and then now you're expecting them to go back into like qualifying. And that was like back when the Open was like not super easy to qualify for.
That was when it was 5 still.
Like it wasn't
2020 was even 5.
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
it was 2021 that I think they dropped it down to 3 workouts. Yeah. So I think you're gonna run into that issue again, where it's just like, hey, like you have to have a plan for the year. You can't go into this just flying blind and doing whatever.
Well, and it's hard to have a plan when CrossFit like changes it all the time.
Right.
And then they don't really like, you don't really know till it's like happening.
Yeah. I think you really need to make sure that you're diving into the rules and understanding what's going on so that you can set up that season structure. And
I
actually, I think there's maybe James Sprague did this, but like genuinely having like a calendar and writing, like if you're not a good like spatial and you can't like visualize things well, I think sitting down and having a calendar of everything that's going on and really understanding like the repercussions of how long it takes to recover from a workout or a competition is super important for people now. Like,
well, that's like something you and I have talked about a lot too. Cause like when I was doing the Fittest of the Coast or qualifiers, like it was 2 weeks after Beach Brawl, barely, maybe a week and a half.
I think it was the week.
Yeah. I think I like took a few days off. Plus I like traveled and stuff and I felt fine. And I always talk about this with people.
I remember this. You were like, man, I'm really proud of myself for how well I'm handling the stress and the qualifier. And then next week.
I forgot
injured.
About that. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to talk about how good I feel again because I do exactly remember telling you that. I was like, man, I just don't usually handle stress as well. Like, I'm like moving across the country. I feel fantastic. And then my back broke.
Literally, yeah.
So that basically has always happened. And I should just not talk about how good I feel when I feel good.
Yeah, basically.
But there's also like that post-competition, like adrenaline you get.
Yeah.
You're like excited to get back into training. You feel good. Like you're ready to get back to it. And then you start like, you do a simple workout. It's like a 500-meter row and you're like, I can't even hold a 2-minute pace right now. Like what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
You know? And so I think I just, and especially like getting older maybe, and, you know, training age has has a lot to do with it too. But like, you just can't go from like qualifier to qualifier, like competition to another competition in 2 weeks. And then like that takes a toll on your body.
Yeah, for sure. Like there are some people who can do that.
Yes.
Right. And I was always so impressed by those people because when I was competing, I did the Open, I did regionals, I did the games, and then I did Granite Games in the fall. And those were the four. Like I did 4 competitions.
And Granite Games is hard, like notoriously hard workouts.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was all I did throughout the year was just 4 competitions. Because if I did any more than that, my body would have been so broken, like so broken.
Yeah, I think I learned that the hard way. Like 4 is like fine. I feel like the best probably with like 3. But like I not really including the Open, I guess I probably should. But like in person.
Yeah, this is back when the Open was like hyper competitive.
Yeah, the Open, people who didn't experience a 5-week Open and when they only took the top 20, like it was stressful. Gyms,
so stressful.
If you had coaches that were competitors, like the gym felt it.
Oh, it's
because like all of our coaches were competing and like if we got sick, like I mean, I remember one year we literally didn't qualify a team because we all got the flu.
Damn.
Like one person came in, like me and Christian had the flu the first week. Kyle and Nissa got it the second week. And then I think our other 2 competitors got it the third week. And it was literally because of that we did not qualify.
Oh, that's brutal.
It was awful.
That's
but like
brutal.
It was just so stressful. Like you would hope to not get sick. Like you were hoping that no one was injured because you had to like do at least 1 workout, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Oh yeah, the 5-week Opens were just
nonsense. I mean, you were so stressed for 5 weeks straight. Like,
every Thursday, like the last 2 weeks, everybody, like the excitement in the gym went from like here to just
and like
down.
the competitors are so fucking drained, like so drained.
Because you've probably redone a workout or all of them at that point, depending on who you are. Like you could possibly do 10 workouts.
Yeah.
Like we literally had somebody on our team get adrenal fatigue and not be able to compete with us, so we had to sub someone else in.
Yeah,
I think that was when Kyle subbed in 2018.
Okay.
Because it was supposed to be Christian, but he redid like every workout, so he did like 10 workouts, and then by the time like regionals came around, he's like, I cannot compete. Like, I don't feel like myself.
Well,
I don't feel right.
10 workouts at 110% intensity,
and they were so hard. Like I remember one of the workouts, like I had to redo it because we needed our female teammate, her to get a heavier weight and me to get a faster time, and it was like that double dumbbell squat, burpee over bar, and then you found a heavy clean after.
Yeah.
And like I already had like a very like top time in that, like in the world in that workout, and when I did it again, like my CNS was done. Like it was drained after doing it Friday and Monday.
Yeah.
I remembered like I was just shaking like all day, like my whole body. And I was like, something is wrong.
It was so crazy. Like I obviously I've been coaching now for 12 years, and like our generation had the ability to tap in to just go fuck yourself up.
Yes.
That I have not seen from any other like this a new generation in CrossFit.
I think you and I talked about it in the open too, because I was getting like a little frustrated with my redos. I was like, I just am not like, how are people getting like minutes better on this? And I'm like, if I do get better, it's like 2 reps or I don't.
Right.
And you like had a really good point of like the generation that we came from was such fire breathers. Like everyone just went to that place all the time. You know, and like I worked out with like 2 games athletes at the time, like Kyle Kasparov and Sheila Barden, and like it was just nonstop every day. Like that's where we were going.
Yeah,
you know,
you're like you're when you show up to the gym, you're fucking bringing it. Like bringing it. You're gonna be on the ground for 15 to 20 minutes with brain fog afterwards.
Yes,
and then you're gonna have brain fog the rest of the day, and you're gonna attempt to coach your classes and then live a normal life and do that for 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. Which, like, to be fair, like I think the reason why Kyle was able to sustain his longevity in this sport, I mean, he's competed like 10 or 11 times. Like he didn't always go there. Like we would actually like make fun of him because he would like not ever like snatch over 265, but then at games he snatched 295 like perfectly.
Oh,
and we're like, this is what happens when you like healthily pull yourself back in training and don't let your 10 years younger than you teammates like pull you into that place and you don't want to go there. And now I'm at that age and I'm like, I get it. I see what we did to you now.
Yeah, it was just such a I mean, obviously everybody learns and like CrossFit was so new. I remember being so dumb when I first started. I was like, well, you know, CrossFit's redefining training. And so like Rich Froning doesn't, this is like a year into not even a year into coaching. I was like, Rich Froning doesn't taper, so I don't think you really need to taper. And I'm telling this to a collegiate swimmer who made it to the Olympic trials. And he's just looking at me like I am full blown like missing chromosome.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, that is such a dumb statement. But that was the mentality back then. Like everybody was learning from Rich, and Rich just had crazy high volume tolerance.
That's the thing too, is that's when everybody was like, I remember like talking to a client a long time ago, and she's like, everybody and their mom like swims on Thursdays and then takes Sundays as a rest day, and like they do 2 a days. And I'm like, just because Rich Froning did it in a video one time, like doesn't mean that we all need to do that. Because that was the year that I decided like I don't like taking Thursdays as a rest days. I'm just gonna switch my rest days up. And I was like, this feels really good. Like I don't need to do what everyone else is doing. So I was having that conversation with her, and this wasn't that long ago. Like people still try to train like that. You know, and some people can't. Like you just said, you know, some people have really like crazy high volume tolerance, but
My favorite was when I was actually like starting to learn things, and I saw Rich basically starve himself for a day on camera, and I was like,
at the games?
No, this was at Tennessee Tech still.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I know what you're doing, motherfucker. Like you're gonna get all these dudes to think that they only need to eat peanut butter and jelly and drink chocolate milk or whole milk or whatever it is. Dude. And they're going to try and do that, and they're going to be starved, and they're not going to have good training cycles, and like you just did it for camera one time.
I was like, dude, the best in the world never give their secrets away.
Right.
Like Matt Frazier is not telling people how he really won the games. Right. You know, they're not doing that.
Yeah. So I that was pretty fun. That was when I was starting to get competitive too, and I'm like, I would play this game with somebody, so I know it. Like, But yeah, that was such a fun time too. Like,
everybody would bring like nuts and like jerky to competitions.
The paleo,
like no carbs.
No carbs, yeah.
We were running on fumes. That regionals video that you pulled up with me, like I just did like a full elimination diet paleo challenge like with the gym for 2 months. I've never seen a gym be able to get 100 people to do a 2-month full elimination diet. This was insane. Like everybody just looked so tiny and small. Like we lost like so much like body fat, but I went in there like just being young, I was able to like handle it. But like now there's no way.
Oh yeah.
I lost like 10 pounds before that competition with straight paleo.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was a while. It was it was a very fun time in CrossFit, but it was also like there was a lot of learning that was going on.
Yeah, it was still very new at the time.
Yeah. So, how do you feel like that time frame in CrossFit compares to kind of now? Do you see differences, similarities? Obviously, like, you know, PE is kind of, or current owners have kind of tarnished some of the community, it seems like, but what do you kind of see as differences?
I definitely think it's evolved, you know, like people are so fit now. Like it's crazy how much. I was just thinking the other day, like, you know, it's like so funny. You get frustrated like with your numbers and stuff. And it's just like most people don't do this, but the fact that like the like ceiling has like increased so much because of CrossFit and like what people are able to do. I mean, I think competitive like games numbers for snatch back then would have been like 145 for girls. Like now it's like 185. I mean,
I was like top 1% in the sport for strength. In 2016, I was like top 1% in the sport for strength. I front squatted 400 pounds in 2016, and there were maybe 50 guys that could have done that. Like that were competitive.
That's crazy. Yeah.
My lifetime numbers now wouldn't even play in the sport now, which is crazy.
Yeah, like, it's insane how strong people have gotten and fit, you know?
Yeah.
So I think like from an athlete perspective, it's really evolved, and just from like a day-to-day person, like like the health markers that we're looking at now, like optimal versus just average. But the like business like of CrossFit, I feel like since like Glassman stepped back, I just felt like this is just the feeling I get. This is absolutely not fact, but like it just seemed like he was like, well, I'm done with it. Like whoever wants to take it, take it. And like there wasn't a lot of like thoughtfulness in who was going to, and just every owner since, I just feel like has like not really brought the brand where it needs to go. And it's got so much potential to grow even more. And I just feel like it's being capped out. It's like, if you've ever worked in a Globo gym, like I used to be a personal trainer, it's like, you know, we had owners come in that were like owners of fast food restaurants, and they just wanted to make money. They didn't care about the gym. And you can tell, you know, like that's kind of how it feels.
Yeah. They're like, we're going to take the people aspect out of this, and we're going to chase the number aspect.
They don't believe in the methodology. Like they don't believe in like what CrossFit or the community, like they don't realize how like special that is.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's like the only thing that makes it like really, it doesn't feel the same from when we first started, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So more so from the ownership standpoint rather than like, you still feel the community is the same, or?
Not really. Like in some ways, yes. Like I think like the community in CrossFit's fantastic. Like I mean, where else do you get to go almost every day where you just get to hang out with adults and like not have to work, like not have to have like responsibilities. You just get to work out, sweat, and have fun with people. Like that's awesome. It's like adult recess, you know? But I think like the overall community, like on the internet, feels really shitty.
The internet is toxic as fuck.
It's so like if it weren't for my job, like I would so get rid of social media. I have battled with that so many times. It just feels like people are always trying to knock people down and like bully them a little bit. And it's like, dude, like just let people make mistakes, like learn from it. We don't have to continue bashing them for it, or even just like searching for things to be wrong that aren't there, you know?
Because you got featured on
I did make it pretty bad. You know, I always, which, you know, surprisingly, I've never been called on a squat in my life. So that was crazy. The funniest thing about that video, and honestly, like the funniest part was I was literally drinking a cup of coffee on the porch over the lake. The sun was rising. I was like in such a calm and peaceful mood. Leanna and I had just won. Like we were all about to go enjoy breakfast. And all of a sudden my DMs were like flooded. So I looked and I was like, all I did, I set my coffee down and I just went, huh, and like laughed out loud. I was like, what just happened? But the actual video was like, someone had put like tagged me, and they were like with textbook gymnastics. Like they were like complimenting my gymnastics.
And because it was a bar muscle up
toe to bar complex,
and then hang squat clean, hang dumbbell. So they got your dumbbell hang squat.
So they like cropped out all the rest and then just put that in. But I mean, it was, you know, whatever. Like I get it, but honestly, like if that's the worst thing at that competition, I would say the judging was probably pretty good. If that's like the worst thing you saw,
that's testament to Fittest of the Coast. Truly, like, they did a great job there. Like,
and their judges
always done a great job.
I had the same judge for my thruster workout the night before, and like people were kind of like shitting on her, and I think that was the only time I like got pretty serious in the comments, because I think like my comment was, "Does this mean I made it?" And like Hiller responded, and he's like, "I think so," like handshake, and I was like, "Cool," and like he pinned it, you know, like he usually does. But like people are kind of shitting on her, and I was like, "Dude, she no repped me on a thruster like the night before, like I didn't get full extension."
Right. Well,
she was like telling me like when I was close, like she was fine. It was just hard to judge that workout, like. One, like the lanes, like if she would have been over, she would have been in somebody else's lane because we had to take off and run. Right. So it's just like people didn't really know. You just don't know the logistics until you're out there, you know?
And that's why, like, I think it's okay to get frustrated with reffing in sport, because like I mean, these things happen so fast. You're at, and now, especially because we have so many different camera angles for things. Like you get to see it at a completely different angle than the ref. Every like major sports as well. Like you get to see it at a completely different angle than the ref is seeing it at.
Well, and there actually was like a story taken of somebody else that I knew, and you can see me from a different angle, and like my reps looked fine.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
But my squat already isn't like an ass to grass squat.
Right,
you know,
right.
so. You know, I do think like angles do make a difference sometimes.
Huge,
like if you watch someone do wall balls from behind, you would think,
no rep,
you would
no
know rep
rep.
everybody.
And then
almost.
you go watch it from the side, and you're like, oh, okay,
that's it.
yeah.
But you know, like I get like sometimes I get like wanting more fairness in the sport and stuff, but like that was not like the games. And thankfully, it's me. I think just like. Like the thing that I have like a personal story via a friend who's also a coach of like someone that like Hiller had called out who wasn't an athlete. Like she was just your everyday like mom going into the gym. She'd lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And she'd posted a video, I think, of her doing a pull up and she didn't get her chin, like her first like pull up, and she didn't get her chin over the bar. And like, it's not so much Hiller, it's like his followers.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think just being a coach, you have a lot more empathy for people too.
Right.
And you know that there's room for variance on certain things.
Yeah.
Like the Josh Bridges video we talked about, like that man has been through it. Like if he's still squatting, like just let him squat.
Right.
You know, like
remotely close to parallel.
Like his knees have been through it, man. Like he's not competing anymore. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have an athlete come in the gym and that's like where they're at, like I'm not going to force them to go lower. Like that might actually be worse for them than not.
Right.
You know, like obviously the goalpost is always to get a full depth squat, but there's going to be people. We have a 78-year-old lady at our gym. Like I am never going to be like, Linda, you have to squat below parallel. You know what I mean?
Linda, your self-worth is dictated on how low your squat
like I'm
is.
so happy to see her. She loves CrossFit. Her doctors love that she does CrossFit. Like keep coming, you know? And so it's like things like that where I'm just like, that's a little upsetting to me. And this personal story for my friend, like she had reached out to this lady that Hiller had featured, and it was like his little posse followers that were just like, no rep, like who's her coach, blah, 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 and like kind of shitting on this lady. And my friend like DM'd her, doesn't know who she is at all. And she was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like that is not the CrossFit community. And like, I really hope that you don't let that get to you. Like you're an amazing person.
Yeah.
I watched your page. I read your story. It's awesome what you're doing. And the lady literally quit CrossFit. Like she was like, I've just realized this isn't the community for me. It like gives me goosebumps. Like, she said, I realize this isn't the community for me. It's already hard enough for me to go to the gym. I don't really like group classes, and I just need to find something different. And like that breaks my heart because being a coach, like I'm a coach before I'm an athlete. Like you're not going to be an athlete forever, but you can help change people's lives forever. You know, and like that's your choice to do whether you want to change them for the better or worse. And that to me was just like really unbecoming of the sport. And it's one person, but it's like if that's what I saw and I wanted to try CrossFit, I wouldn't want to.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And
unfortunately, like there's a higher likelihood that you'll see that than there is like what you used to see back in the day of like strong, beautiful women doing impressive things, you know?
Yeah. And even just like little things like that. But I just always fear just someone that has like come from a place of depression. And I'm a pretty lighthearted person. Like it's pretty hard to offend me, you know? So even before that, I always just like feared that it would like happen to the wrong person. And like, I feel like if you're an online bully, like you have to be prepared for the repercussions of picking on the wrong person, and they're not in the headspace to take that because some of those people just might be on like on the edge of the cliff, you know, and that might just push them over. And I know that sounds like really dramatic, but most people, you don't know if they're struggling with like, and things on the internet, like when you get posted like that, like it really takes you back for a second. You're like, ooh, I really gotta like be an adult about this and realize it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? And so it takes a tough person to be featured like that. And some people may not have that, you know, like they may not be prepared for it. That's like always my biggest fear.
Yeah. No, and I like, there's just so much unknown that goes on in those posts too, in regards to like, does everybody want to clean up the sport rep wise? For sure. Like, well, I don't, but there's a lot of people that want like there's a certain subset of person that like the rules are the rules and they're very black and white and you just follow the rules.
Yes.
And like I'm a little bit more like the rules are there, and there's a lot of gray area, and you should probably live in the gray area.
Yeah, follow
right?
the rules if the rules make sense.
Yeah,
But even
yeah.
to that, like we were talking about, like L2 and like textbook CrossFit, and I think that's where people who aren't coaches see like a squat is only a squat if it's below parallel.
Right, right.
Well, yes and no, because there's room for variance there depending on the person.
And they also teach you like you go mechanics first,
yes,
and then you introduce intensity. So like you maybe not having her squat below parallel, you're still teaching them mechanics inside of a workout. You're just not introducing the intensity component of it yet.
Yeah. Or, you could take like bodybuilders doing like bench press where they're not extending all the way, but there's like sometimes a purpose to that too. Right. But like if you only see that with no context, like you would be like, no rep, no rep, no rep. You know what I mean? So there's just like context to some things. And, I know that some people do try to like skim the lines in online competitions.
Totally.
And that is frustrating. Like I've seen it firsthand, and I like the funniest thing is like I actually feel like I do pretty good about like following the rules and like trying to make sure I move to standard and things like that. And I know that happens in the sport and it's unfortunate, but honestly, that's on CrossFit. Like if they want it to be fair, like you need to have more in-person competitions and not make everything online. Like, I mean, if the top 1% are going, like that was 1,200 people technically. Like I think only 300 to 500 probably signed up, but that's still a lot of videos to go through if you're really looking through all those videos, and they're not.
Right.
And like that's the thing too, is there's going to be like certain things like when you're getting super nitpicky, like I think Danielle Brandon's like video was posted because of her overhead, and I'm like, you had to literally pause the screen to even see, and like you can't do that in person. So in person, like you either have to decide as a judge like those are okay enough, or no, get your head through more. And I'm sure she would adjust from there. But like you're pausing a video. You know what I'm saying? It's like things like that. Like, okay, do you really think she's trying to purposely skim the line? I don't think so.
Right. Well, there's just some things like when you're moving fast, like that you just don't realize you're doing, and like
barbell cycling, if you like, bring the bar down, you quickly say like do that snake thing. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. I mean, there were, I didn't move exceptionally well in the sport, but I also didn't take a lot of no reps on anything in the sport. And thrusters were one of my best movements in the sport. And there have been times where a judge was just looking for something specific, and he cued me on it, and I adjusted it, and it was fine, But like in a live competition or in an online competition, like you have thousands and thousands and thousands of people pausing and scrutinizing these videos, and it just doesn't make sense. There's no need for it too. Like
and it's like, can you do that? Like I guarantee half the people in these comments like aren't doing that, and like actually kind of backtracking because they were like there's a lot of people like trying to shit on Fittest of the Coast, and I remember like the last event with the handstand push-ups, I had the head judge and my judge like literally here and here, like making sure because my right thumb was slipping off the tape.
Okay.
And like they were literally on me for that, like made sure that my thumb didn't slip off. Like anytime I would go back there, like they both followed me.
Right.
And they were really cool about it. Like I wasn't frustrated. I just like stood up and I adjusted as they told me to.
Right.
I thought the judging was really good.
Well, and it's also like judging is also part of the game that you have to play. Umpires in baseball, we still don't have a robotic strike system or electronic strike system. So there's an art form to getting a strike called from the catcher or getting a ball called from the batter. Like there's an art form to that. And I think that's some of the fun stuff that takes place in the sport. Like that you kind of, there's a component at a live competition that makes it a little bit more fun. Like in 2022, we were doing thrusters and rope climbs, and I was doing thrusters and my judge was giving me good reps. And then the head judge walked by and starts screaming, "Go lower, go lower." I was like, okay. So I started going lower, and I just watched him. And then he turned around and walked away, and I went right back to what I was doing.
Yeah,
I didn't get a single. There's an art form to it, and that's what makes sport fun. Is there's games inside of games that you have to play. And if you're just like, these are the rules, follow the rules, it makes it a little bit less fun, if that makes sense.
Yeah, or like things that they don't, it's like a ask forgiveness, not permission type of thing.
Yes.
So I think even when me and Leanna were like doing that, maybe it was that same workout. No, it was a prowler push one.
Yeah.
Like everybody was like waiting behind their partner, where like I would like run in front of her and in front of the prowler. And I'm like, no one ever said we couldn't do this.
Right.
And we were the only ones doing that, and we got ahead on that. And like no one ever said anything to me, but it's like you don't know until you know. And I was like, well, if they tell me that it doesn't count, I'll just like go back, you know, what are they going to do?
Right.
Other than just warn me at that point. And then I'm like, okay, Roger that, you know? So it's like, sometimes you have to figure out little things like that to get you a little, like even a quarter second ahead.
Yeah. And it does matter. Those things matter too. Yeah. And so like, I don't know. I like the online side of competitions is so frustrating to me. Like,
it's so frustrating and it just feels so nitpicky. And even in cases where like it does, like, it's like, that person really was like not, you know, just,
I think like the Brooke Wells
I was just going to say that. Like, that was very like blatantly obvious. And she has coaches that are like pretty renowned, I would say, that should probably say something. But even to that point, like, people were just digging on her. And I'm like, her whole life is this sport. Like, and like, she does in-person competitions and doesn't get no reps like that. Like, I'm sure if she was told, she would have adjusted as needed. And like, and you know, it's unfortunate. She's probably always done that, but
and that's my thing is like back in 2018, they were like, if the athlete expresses the capacity to perform the workout, or if we think the athlete expresses the capacity, which she was the one that they were talking about.
Yeah, it was a handstand push-up video. Yes.
They get a pass. And I'm absolutely fine with that because you can still come back and dish out no reps for the person. But if you're like, oh yeah, if we no repped that person in that movement for whatever it is we're looking for, they would have adjusted and they would have been fine in the workout.
Yeah.
Case in point, if you had come at the step ups in 2023 with that mentality, everybody would have been significantly happier about the result. Because going after quarterfinals that year, it just felt like the sentiment in the sport just felt like people got wronged.
Yes,
you know?
that's a really good point, like specifically from that year.
Yeah, and it's just like, if you can just use common sense and be like, this athlete has been to the games 10 times or whatever, however many times. If we told her that she got a no rep and needed to get her chest lower to the ground, she probably would have taken at most 2 no reps. So let's give her 2 no reps. But she very clearly has crazy fucking capacity and can probably complete that workout with the 2 or 3 no reps that we're giving her. And it takes a little bit of like, hey, let's use some common sense here into the equation versus just being like, again, the rules are the rules. You know?
Like some of the things too, it's like, was that like,
and
is that really how they got that far ahead in that workout? Like, you can watch and see
or was
that
it the fact that she was running 50-second shuttle sprint, whatever it was, relative to everybody else.
Going unbroken on the
on the barbell and having 40 seconds to do burpees. Like, maybe that was the...
And even to that case, like, I almost feel like maybe like the athlete should get like a... hey, can I like redo this and like prove or something?
I mean, there's
you know what I mean?
So
like,
many different things that
so
they can do.
many different avenues that you could do, and like it's just that thing where I'm like, okay, she didn't make games. Like that's probably hard enough already.
Right.
Just leave her alone. Like stop shitting on her. She's not like she didn't kill somebody. People are literally acting like these athletes are just like out to get everyone by like cheating or something. And it's like, do you really like?
You really think that they were? One, intentionally doing that. Like, I don't think maybe she was because, they were a little bit faster burpees, but like, I don't think that she was, hey, I'm going to cheat the sport because I need to get to the games.
Yeah. Like a big F you to everybody, like, I don't think it was from malicious intent.
It's like, I'm going to play the game because you have to play the game if you want to be one of the top, 10, 20 in the world to go to the games from semifinals.
Online, I feel like top 11.
Yeah,
is what
because I want to be one of the top 11, and you kind of have to ride the line if you're, 5'6" like she is, going against 5'2" females.
And truthfully, that workout there was not a lot of room for error.
Right,
like one rep was like 30 spots.
Right, right. So even your one rep that you gave her, like it still justifies her capacity. If you were to give her 2 or 3 no reps, right? Still justifies her capacity. But it also accomplishes what you want to accomplish with it. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. I know that I am in the hard minority on this and that people are like, no, her burpees were shit. And like, you have to uphold a movement standard. It's like, you can still have the subjectiveness to it and uphold a movement standard. Yeah.
And I think like, I generally just kind of like am good at like seeing things from both points of view.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, I get why people feel this way.
For sure. Yeah.
But like, I also generally tend to gravitate towards like people are operating from their best intention. Like, I don't think people operate from trying to be terrible.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, when people just assume that like someone made a mistake in the sport, like I would say she made a mistake.
Yeah.
And they're being so unforgiving about it and
Right.
relentless on just like proving a point and like posting like sharing these videos that like Hiller posted about her and then like comparing her movement to other movements and then like Barbell Spin posting something and it's just like, dude,
yeah,
she spends her whole life trying to qualify for games. Every other year
Yeah.
she has some shitty, awful thing happen.
Right.
Whether it's self-inflicted or not, like
Right.
let her be, you
Yeah.
know, like
Let
she
it-
just competed at World Fitness Project and looked fantastic.
Right,
Like,
right.
I think she's fine.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you
right.
guys are being shitty right
Yeah.
now. And that's like where I feel like the community aspect, like you said, you're far more likely to see the negative aspects of the sport.
Right.
And I just already feel like people don't know like how great CrossFit is.
Right.
You know, and it's like you don't really experience that until you do it. And like
Right.
almost everybody at this point, like if you hear about something, if I hear about a coffee shop, I look at their Instagram first. You know, and it's like everybody sees things on social media. And if the first things that you're seeing is just like someone shit talking CrossFit, how terrible it is, like how much everyone cheats or whatever, it's like, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah, it's just, and I kind of share the same sentiments. Is it's like we used to be a community of people that built each other up and were like super excited for people doing awesome things in the sport, which is where like our community kind of like lives in,
and being
right?
impressed by that like hard work.
Yes,
and
yeah, and like
effort.
going and celebrating that, right? And now it's like it's everybody's like trying to like knock everybody down a peg and play this like social hierarchy game, like, oh, I'm the best judge in the sport because I call people out on Instagram, like,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just bleeding into this because it does get views on social media, I get it, but it's just not what we came into CrossFit for, and we were attracted to the community of CrossFit.
And like the games was so cool too.
Yeah.
Like I just remember like the games videos coming out afterwards, like the documentaries.
And you would sit down, you would be like glued.
Yes, like the OG like CrossFit, like they were just a different breed already. I could go on about that forever. But
Yeah.
like the OG CrossFitters, you know, and like seeing them on TV, like
Yeah.
it was just like, wow, like that's amazing that people can do that.
Yeah.
And now I feel like when people see someone doing great things, they're more like, well, what are they doing? Like they're trying to search for something, like a way that they got there that they shouldn't have. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's a little frustrating to see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But hopefully, I think everything stems from the leadership, right?
Yeah.
Like everything
it's
stems from
a trickle down effect.
Yeah,
For
it's
sure.
a trickle down effect. And, you know, hopefully whoever does take over in this sale promotes a good culture again and a good environment of like celebrating people's successes and like going back and telling some of the, like, I think one of the most fun things about regionals was like, I think the best case is like John Colte. Do you remember him from
That
2017?
name like sounds so familiar, but I can't remember.
He was from a gym in Alabama. The name is escaping me right now, but 2016 he competed on a team for the games, and then 2017 decided to go regionals. But he was living like the CrossFit athlete life, where he's like, let me find the shittiest job I can that allows me to still train as much as I want. He was literally emptying out porta shitters. Had a fucking amazing weekend at regionals, ends up qualifying in 5th place and goes to the games.
What?
And so, but it's like those stories where it's like, dude, this guy was cleaning out porta shitters. And then the next weekend he has a maybe not like a life changing, but a life memory that will never leave him, you know?
Yeah. Like it made it worth it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of where I wish the sport would go back to is like, is giving more people the opportunity to live that, because there was always kind of like that chance that you could, if that makes sense.
It's inspiring too. And it's like, what do you want to inspire? Like positivity and positive change, or like internet bullying, you know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But people are more attracted to the latter.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I mean, more people online are attracted
They
to
just
the latter.
see it. Yeah, it's
Right.
hard to ignore when it's like popping up all the time, you know?
Right. And like it's just kind of like a negative feedback loop. It's like, oh, we get numbers doing this, so then we'll just keep doing it.
And when you look at it, like that's what your feed starts to, whether you like it, share it or not. Like if you just look at something, it's crazy how the internet works.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. Pro tip: stop scrolling on social media. I haven't done that since 2018. It's been great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good
I don't
for
look
you.
at stories unless we're tagged in them. So, and it makes life significantly better. So, but yeah, I think we ran for a pretty long time.
Okay,
you want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
All right. How do people find you, Bree?
I have an Instagram at Siegert. So my first and last name, just the first 2 letters mixed around.
Perfect.
And I, work in Tallahassee at Peak Human Performance. You want to drop in? Come to my gym.
Yeah, come see Bree.
That's about it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Please follow Bree. Go watch her Unchained episode. It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, please like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, blacklisted.hq, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Oh.